Hey guys, I figured I'd give a quick run through on Teams and all the different features and sort of how everything works, because some of it is really intuitive, some of it is not so much. So I figured I'd do this by just going through each tab one by one and sort of explaining how it works, what it does, why you'd want it, and everything like that. So first off, we're going to start with the activity tab here. This is basically a one-stop place where you can see between everything else, anything that might have happened recently. So for example, Andrew replied to me here, he added me to a channel, those are getting entered into my feed here. Next is going to be the chat tab. The chat tab is basically if you need to have a one-on-one conversation or even actually a small group chat, but it's more impromptu than the Teams. So, for example, I can click this new message here. I can type in Andrew. I could even add Chris if I want to, but I just want to talk to Andrew for this one because we already have a channel in Teams for the three of us. And this is a private chat. So this way I can have a conversation with Andrew that only he and I can see. So we don't have to worry about anybody else seeing it. And we don't have to worry about bothering anybody else, having A to B conversation while everybody else is there. There's video calling, audio calling, and screen sharing in here. So I could just click audio call and it would just audio call Andrew right now, and we could just, have a quick VoIP chat that way, or do video, or do screen sharing if I want to show them what I'm doing. I could add somebody else to this conversation and do, a group call right there. So then next we've got the Teams tab. The Teams tab is a more structured setup. This ties into SharePoint in a major way, um, and is really designed that you should probably have one or two people in your company who are laying this out, and then everybody else can use it. So the way this works is the idea is you have different teams, and teams are sort of supposed to be something like departments. So for example, we could have, a general team that I have here, and I've set this up as organization wide. And so what that means is anybody in the company automatically has access to this channel no matter what. I cannot remove people from this channel without deleting their entire 365 account. You would use this for, your general announcements and company-wide information and discussion. And the advantage of the org-wide setting is that you never have to worry that someone's not in here. Everybody is in here, always, no matter what, automatically. Next, I have a team here, the IT support team that I've set up here, which is set to the team privacy setting. So basically, only people who are a member of this team can see any of this stuff. So you would want to do this, just if you have any sort of departments that you don't want just anybody in the company to be able to get into that stuff, you could set it up like this. And in here, I even have it subdivided into some channels. So I could have a general channel where the IT support department can talk to each other about just whatever. And then we could break it down and have a client A channel and then have some additional channels. We could have a projects channel and a top secret client B channel. So say client A is a low profile client and everybody who's on the IT support team can deal with their stuff. So you can just have this channel set up as team wide. So anybody who's in the team can see it. Whereas this top secret client B here is maybe, a higher profile one that maybe we don't want our low tier employees getting into this and it's not for them. And so you can set up restrictions on this channel. So as you can see up here, this one is only accessible to the channel. And if I click on this button right here, I can actually see exactly who has access. And right now, it's only me. This channel is just for me. I could easily edit that and add members to this channel, and then, that's who can get into it. And then I have this projects one, which I could say, this is where we would discuss upcoming projects, things that we're maybe looking to do but aren't quite in the middle of, or something like that. You'll notice these are marked as hidden channels. I can just click show right here and they'll be always shown, but I have them marked as hidden because they're ones that I don't really use that often, and I don't want to clutter up my display over here. So then we have a third team set up as marketing, and this one is marked as org, which is not to be confused with org-wide. Org-wide covers everybody in the company no matter what. Org means anybody can join this team, but they aren't on it by default. And so I could go in here and edit this team and add users as I want, or anybody in the company can go to down here to join a team, type in, and then they can join it themselves without me having to do it. So there's really no privacy here. The reason you'd use this setting is if you have a thing where, there's nothing sensitive in here, but my technicians don't care about the marketing. They don't want to see the marketing. It's in their way, so we just have it set up as an org level. And then in here, we have separate channels. We could have a general vendors webinar to sort of break up conversations and have it so, if you're talking about vendors, you put it in vendors. If you're talking about webinars, you put it in there. Another feature you can add is you can actually add tabs up here, and this is kind of going back into that SharePoint organization. I set up on this marketing, I have a SharePoint tab, the document library, and if I click that, it actually opens up all the documents and lists all the documents that are in our marketing SharePoint site. So we have a marketing SharePoint site that is connected to this team, and it is easy to see anything that is in here. Similarly, you will notice in this SharePoint site, there's a general folder, there's a webinars folder, and there's a vendors folder. Well, there should be. Basically, if a file gets shared in this general channel, it will automatically go into that SharePoint folder. Here, I can demonstrate this also in our IT support. So in IT support, if I was to go down here, go to my OneDrive, grab a PowerShell script, grab, say, this script. Say, this will let you deploy laps. And then I can go ahead and send that. What that's going to do is it'll show up as a message here, and anybody who wants it can grab this file here. But it also puts it in our SharePoint. As you can see right here, it just got modified a few seconds ago. It is automatically there because Teams uses SharePoint for its backend for all the file shares. So any file you ever send through here is also in SharePoint. Okay, what is next? Next would be the calendar view. The calendar view is basically it's your Outlook calendar, but in Teams, so you don't have to switch over to Outlook. This is mostly used for setting up meetings. So what you can do is you can either hit the Meet Now button, and this is just if you want to have a meeting right now, you can just hit this. You can pick a name after you create the meeting. Let me turn that camera off because it does not work. I can hit this, I can hit invite, I can invite Andrew, click that. It is calling him right now. I'm going to go ahead and terminate this before it annoys him because he's probably working. And yeah, you could just have a meeting right off like that. Don't have to plan it or schedule it or anything like that. Alternatively, you can hit new meeting right here, and this will let you schedule a meeting out further. So I could say CC Tech stand up. So I'm gonna have our technicians show up for this, and I can add a required attendee. So I could put Andrew on here because I don't want to have this meeting without Andrew. But I could also do optional where I could add Chris, and if Chris can't make it that day, it's not a big deal. But we'd like him to be there, but it's not a huge deal. And then I can, go in here, pick a day, pick a time, and all that stuff, and it will actually suggest, and these suggestions should be dynamic based on availability on all of our calendars. Teams will check our calendars, see when we should be able to do this, and pick a time. I can set up repeat and all that. Maybe I don't want to use these suggestions. I want to use a different time, but it is hard. With us three, not that hard, but with a bigger meeting, you might have trouble finding a time that everyone can do. So that's where this scheduling assistant comes in. And this will actually overlay everybody's calendar. So this row is me, this row is Andrew, this row is Chris. And so I can see right in here, when there is availability for us. So clearly this day won't work because Andrew's going to be gone the entire day. But today we have some availability, and so I could say I want at 2 p.m. we're going to have this meeting. And so then I can hit send, and it will send out that meeting to everybody. They will be able to join it through Teams. Now, if you have audio conferencing, there will also be info in here for how someone can dial in with their phone. That is not included in base Teams, but it is something that you can add on if you would like. So yeah, other than that, if you don't want to use this, you can also use the calendar in Outlook. There should be a new Teams meeting button in your Outlook on the calendar pane. If you don't have that, let us know and we can get that set up for you. If you would rather just keep using Outlook, because you've probably used it for a long time by now. So yeah, that's the calendar view. We calls is something that is mostly for if you have phone service through Microsoft through Teams. Um, that is a whole separate setup, and so I'm not actually going to get into this. But if that's something you're interested in, let us know, and we can discuss that. And then finally, we've got the files tab here. This lets you view files that have been sent through Teams recently. This is mostly useful, say somebody in a chat sent a Word document, but that was what, a week or two ago. It's been a while. It's hard to remember exactly when it was, and you don't want to scroll up through a whole chat to find it. Well, it'll just go in here, and you can find it in here. Similarly, you can hit this Microsoft Teams button, and then this is all the stuff that is stored in Teams, which if you notice these locations, these are actually SharePoint sites. So what this is doing is this is actually lots of stuff that is in our SharePoint, because again, Teams and SharePoint are kind of the same thing. And then similarly, if I hit OneDrive, this will just go into my personal OneDrive, well, my company OneDrive, but my folder in it that is only for me and is not in the public SharePoints that the whole company can see. So yeah, that's really basically it. There's a ton of other stuff that you can do in here. If you go to add a tab here, there's all sorts of functionality that you can add in to Teams. But that's getting a little outside of the scope of this video. So let me know if you want some more info about that stuff or have any questions. All right, thanks guys.